Hello everyone, it's Friday night and it is Weekender time once more. And on this week's show, we reach back into the distant past to pull out some myths and legends for your tabletop games. On top of that, one lucky viewer will be given the chance to win a massive Horus Heresy bundle from store.ontabletop.com. Be given the chance to win Liber Hereticus, Liber Astartes, and the Age of Darkness box. All you need to do is stick a comment below and be a subscriber to the YouTube channel. If you can share us around and give us the thumbs up and all that other stuff as well, that would be amazing. Otherwise, sit back and relax because your weekend starts here. Hello everyone, we are back again to bring you all tabletop goodness from across the last 7 days, and this week I'm joined by the delightful Justin.
Hola.
The delicious Benjamino.
Hello.
And the awesomely fantabuloso Brother Lloyd.
Simone! This feels
you?
weird.
Does it though?
I'm putting it out there now, this feels weird.
And yet hauntingly familiar.
Yes, unfortunately.
There you go. It's all good in the hood. So we're back again for more fun-filled stuff. I'm trying to think if there's anything exciting and strange that we've been up to that people should know about. Freeze left.
That happened.
If you haven't seen last week's show, we said goodbye to Free in last week's show.
Yeah, go watch it.
Which is why you've got 4 crusty old men and nobody pretty to look at this week. Sorry about that.
But for all we know, she might still be in the intro or might not be in the intro. Who knows?
You pay the money.
I mean, I did have to take some rather alluring shots of John this week.
Oh. That's got nothing to do with work, though. just how he gets his day in, I suppose.
When the editing's done, you've got to find some way to pass the time on the clock.
Well, it's fascinating stuff. We also had a couple of little interviews went out. So we have the Parabellum Spotlight went out today, all about looking into the night sky. Ooh, that's a good one. And
astrology.
And if you missed it, I have a fantastic little chat with Daniel Mersey Esquire.
It's bloody great.
It is fantastic, where we just sort of delve into Dan and all the stuff he's up to. And at no point do I reference the fact that you've got all my rule books belonging to him, Lloyd. So that was good. That was very good.
That are all now defunct.
Only one of them's defunct.
Oh, well,
I've upgraded, so I'm fine.
The other one's 20 years old.
That one you can hang on to. Yeah. No, it's
a decade. A decade year old.
Yeah. Well, I am looking forward to next week because hopefully, possibly, sort of, maybe there should be a deep dive for the new War Machine Mark IV rules that you've done, Jerry.
Oh yes, that was me.
I'm sure people will be very excited about.
Yes, interesting stuff, and hopefully in the new year we'll be doing a lot more with Privateer Press about that as well. So
I've already said it. Dibs on Signar.
If you're interested in the old War Machine Mick 4, then you should check out that next week, assuming it doesn't break.
Yeah, or
fall over,
happens,
run away, place goes on fire, all of that. If it does,
I've got the
original footage. You can all come round watch it at my house. Formula 1 League Q. Right, shall we kick on with the end of the week then?
Yeah.
This gets any sillier. We mentioned them a couple of weeks ago. I was like, well, we really need to actually come back and show people what they get up to. And it is Fireforge Games. So they are purveyors of tiny fighting men from across the internet. We'll say that because, as you can see, they do a variety of historic fantasy and also 15 mil. The majority bits and pieces are 28s, but they pluck their ranges from other people as well. So the 15 mil, for example, come from 2 companies, which is Fire and Sword.
And,
not their
Westwind
actual name.
/ Forged in Battle.
And the Forged in Battle stuff. Fire and Sword's from Poland.
Yes.
So it's a good place to come to see some ranges that you may not have otherwise seen. Also, I believe there's some Qin Dynasty Chinese from Watchful Eye Studios from America. Again, if you're unaware of them, you may find little gems, little nuggets of gold lurking in here from companies you've never heard of before, which is good. I like the fact this one says Fire and Sword, because I was looking at the banners earlier and I had the Polish version of Fire and Sword on there, which took me a while to work out what company it was. So I'm going, what? It looks familiar. I'm sure I've seen that logo, but I don't really know what's going on. But they are the 15mm stuff's quite cute as well. You'd like this, Lloyd.
I'm going to like this.
Because it's...
I didn't realize they did 15mm poles. I'm going to have to go and check this out.
Medieval and Renaissance. So if you want to do the Polish, Lithuanian, or the Transylvanian stuff from that sort of period up against the Turks, then you can do that.
And all this stuff would be great for Lion Rampant Mark II.
Yes.
Isn't it?
Oh, 100%, yeah.
Is it Mark II they're calling it?
No,
they just take
the second edition. Oh, okay.
I don't even think they're bothering with an edition branded onto it.
I think it's on the book.
I could tell if I look behind me, but that required showing everybody the back of my head. I'm not going to, because I don't know what you're up to when my head's turned.
Because Fireforge have their own games, or their own game as well, that you could use for this. I assume you could use for the 15mm stuff as well.
It's interesting that Deus Vult is... it could be used for 15. There's no reason why you couldn't change it over, but it's mostly 11th to 13th century. So
it's very Crusade.
Oh, is it?
This is a little bit later in the grand scheme of things. But,
every box has a minimum of 3 men.
Yeah, very much so. Very much so. But there's some absolutely cracking little gems in there and amongst the Fire and Sword range, which is, I don't know if we've ever gone over Fire and Sword. I want to say we have, because I've viewed the site on a semi-regular basis for other things.
We've definitely stopped off with them whenever we've been at events and stuff, and they've been there. We've always stopped off for an interview with them.
Maybe another one for a future in more depth, because this is a
very nice range.
Yeah. Very nice range. And also, if you are looking for a game beyond Fire and Sword, Fire and Sword has got a new edition as well recently, which I think is the original rules were good, but the editing and layout wasn't up to snuff, which made it a bit of a slog to get through. But I believe that the second edition has polished that quite a bit. But otherwise, you can run L'Art de la Guerre, which they sell on this site.
Right there. Click the one on the left. No, up. The one that looked like hussars.
The Yiltzi. These ones.
I don't know how to say that.
I want them, but I can't say them.
Yeah, they are winged under some form of light cav.
Yeah.
Possibly medium. They are quite cute, aren't they? Yeah. So anyway, 15mm range, mostly medieval and Eastern Europe, although you will find some of the Forged in Battle stuff in there for slightly different take on things.
So Danish, Hungarians,
yeah,
Muscovite.
Danes. Well, you kind of everything. You get everywhere. Look at them.
There's only a few of them.
Go for the skirmish set. We can have
look at the little musketeer. It's very 30 Years War-esque. Oh, the full-on. You two can be a Danish skirmisher. It's quite nice, actually.
Cool. How much is that set?
About 40 quid.
This is just Lloyd shopping.
Oh, 40 just 40 quid.
Less, it's euros.
But then there's
postage.
But then it's postage, yeah. And tax.
Because on their homepage, they're doing free shipping at the minute.
Oh, we don't get tax?
No. We still count as being part of the EU.
We're Schrodinger's European. We are and we're not until you...
That would be Northern Ireland specific, though, you're saying?
Oh, yeah. Oh, right. Us specifically.
Not you guys on the mainland, sorry.
Unlucky. Suck it up.
No, because if you have a friend here, send it to them and then post it on.
But anyway, leaving the 15s behind, so there's a lot that you can jump and frolic and scamper through. The two fairly chunky ranges. One is their Fantasy Forgotten World set, and then the other is their Historic range, which, as you can see, there's an example trucking away on the left. So mostly aimed around that 11th to 13th century bracket for the Crusades. So you're going to see a lot of Spanish, Norman-esque sort of stuff as well. Moors, all of the good stuff. And then the Forgotten World is a whole host of stuff. So where are we starting? History or fantasy? I'll let you kids decide in the audience.
Fantasy, because we've just had history.
Fantasy, okay. So the Forgotten Forgotten World. They started off with a big Kickstarter a couple of years ago where you got essentially the Starks against the undead.
Yes, it was not Game of Thrones.
It was not Game of Thrones in any way, shape, or form.
It's not Game of Thrones.
Yes.
And then since then they've added to it. So the range itself is a mix of hard plastic and occasional resiny bits. I want to say the Northern Kingdoms are the Starks, aren't they?
Yes.
They are.
Yeah.
So there's some absolute stonkers in here. If you're not playing not Game of Thrones. Now, obviously, you may want to have some terrible Folksy Rebel. Oh, Folksy Rebel doesn't want to load.
I hate that we're looking at this site because this site always tempts me every time I'm on it. But I have thus far resisted to get any of the fantasy stuff. I have historical stuff kicking about, but I have resisted the fantasy stuff. But you might break me.
See, look, this is why you're lucky to be working from home, because every day anyone that's in the studio working has to walk through the store and go, "Ooh, there's some Team Yankee there that could be nice. I could do a West Germans or an East Germans force." When it's payday as well, I have monies. That's dangerous.
You should always just buy them. Don't wait for payday. Just buy them. Buy them all the time. But yeah, the humans have a very Game of Thrones Stark-esque look. Lots of quilted leather rather than being massively armored. Big round shields and nice bucket helms on them.
Yeah, and just a tiny knockoff wolf's head on the shields.
I'm fairly certain that wolf's heads on standards and stuff predates Game of Thrones. Actual millennia.
Yeah. Fair point.
One of the things I really like about the kits, and it's something we talked about when we discussed the Berbers a couple of weeks ago, which were their newer releases, is that they make them very kind of Wargamer friendly.
Yes.
So the kits are, you've got a bunch of pieces to play around with and tinker with, but they're very sort of quick and easy to assemble. They're not like God, fiddly nuts. Because you've got to try and build up large regiments of things.
Even things like that, it may not be great to see there, but there's a two-handed spear. Now, it's very easy to glue a spear into one hand. Trying to line up a two-handed one is a pain in the backside. So the fact that they've actually cast it as one piece, so you just slide it straight onto his torso, and away you go. You're all good for the stabbings. So that's always good, clean family fun, I feel. Let's see if this will open without spinning. Yeah, apparently
this is a great range for just a generic fantasy.
Generic fantasy,
really is. Yeah.
Clinker. I'm looking at it going, can I do something for Kings of War with it?
Totally.
I think you easily could.
Because it might be a way to do something like the Order of the Green Lady.
To have a more saga with them.
Drink. Yes, you can always do saga with them. It's always good. Yeah. But I like the idea of maybe a lightly armored knightly force for something like that. And again, sort of medium armor and relatively simple to put together.
The other thing was
a nice chunky feel to them as well.
Yeah, these are a little bit bigger than their
fantasy. They're like proper heroic sort of warriors kind of thing. The thing that I really liked about these when I saw them, well, the thing that was really weird was when these came onto Kickstarter originally, we only really saw the renders.
Yes.
And I was like, are they actually going to be this good? You see renders on Kickstarter and you're like, maybe.
Cavalry is lovely.
And then, then the miniatures came out and it was like, oh, no, they definitely have managed to nail this. They look great. So, yeah.
They look great in a stylized, gamey look, if you know what I mean.
Yeah.
So they've managed to differentiate it well from the historicals, if that's what their intention was.
I think so, because if you're going to produce a fantasy range, now I know they've done it with the resin Pegasus stuff for their Albion, which is kind of Preternian-esque, but if you're going to produce historically fantasy knights, people are just going to go and buy the historical ones.
Yeah.
But having this, it has a very distinct look without people going, oh, that's just ... That's just Renaissance Landsknecht, or that's just War of the Roses, or that's just 100 Years' War, with extra bits twiddly on. Whereas these have a coherent look, like they've come from a specific world, and that's kind of thing. Whereas
they draw
quilted armor on the horses is particularly nice.
They draw on a lot of obviously things from historical, but they've come up with something that looks kind of unique and appealing.
Yeah, the folk rebel as well are very nice. If you need a bunch of
good,
wildling-esque / peasants to be killed.
So cannon fodder.
Very much so. And this will be important when we hit the next set of fantasy in a moment, which are the Fundead.
You'll see the transition.
Because the zombies are just the peasantry.
Yeah.
With the occasional sort of armored guy. It might actually be a separate box for armored zombies.
The thing that's I've seen a lot of people using this and the undead to represent armies and Oathmark. Now, obviously, Oathmark and North Star have their own plastics range, but I think a lot of people were immediately latched onto this because when all the Oathmark stuff came out originally, they hadn't really built up their own unique line of miniatures properly at that point. So a lot of people were like, oh, well, all of the humans can be done with the stuff from Fireforge. Let's just grab them.
Yeah.
And it makes perfect sense as well because it's got that whole generic fantasy style to it.
Yeah. And again, there hasn't been a bat armorer adding bat wings to all their bat helmets.
Yeah. Exactly. Yeah. You could drop a guy with a shotgun and a chainsaw on his arm in here and get some sugar. It'd be awesome.
Yes, 100% what he said. Hail to the king, baby. And there's so that's just a rottenified version of the
and that's why that's so cool, because they've gone, well, the enemies of this undead faction are the Northmen. So all of the undead would be from the Northmen. And so it matches up really nicely. It's not like when you see undead in Warhammer Fantasy in like a vampire army that bear no resemblance to the Empire soldiers that
any
they
of the
came
people
from.
that they've come
it's
from.
I love the hodgepodge that we're seeing in the armor here, because you got some guys with heavier armor, some guys with the quilted armor. So they're not just raising from like, oh, this faction here is the faction, it's like going to Tesco's whenever you're shopping for undead soldiers. I only go to Tesco, so I have to have the Tesco brand undead.
And also, you can see then that there is a room for expansion. I know he's got antlers, but knights would have things on their heads sometimes. Calm down, Lloyd.
This one did get a bit pointy. Yeah. I would have preferred to just sort of taken the other guys and then made them dead looking, but there you go.
I think it's because they've tried to make them a little bit like not Lannisters.
So if you want that look, though, you could maybe get the other horses, paint them to look a little bit dead, and then swap some of the bits from the other box set on.
Just make the horses ill. There we go.
It depends. On the components parts, are those armored? Is the barding like a separate component, or is it already?
No, it's all attached. So there's
that's unfortunate
things, and there's the. Oh well, no, actually, the barding is separate.
It is. You can leave. You can
so it's on the heads.
Oh, definitely. I'd definitely leave that off then.
So you could put the undead head on the old horses.
Go back to I know we're sidetracked here. Go back to the real live cavalry.
Yes, the real live cavalry.
Can you take anything off that set to put on there?
But
if they're barding separate as well, then yeah, maybe.
Where are we? Nope.
Building Lloyd's arm. Oh, there you go. Yeah. We're building Lloyd's arm.
Their barding's attached.
Yeah.
But at that point, you swap the 3 live heads with 3 dead heads.
Yeah.
And just vary up your deadness.
Yeah.
Have some with the quilting and have some without.
Yeah.
I do like the fact that you can leave the heavy barding off.
You're going to ask, can we have a look at the dwarves, aren't you?
I was going to say, can we have a look at the characters for these two factions as well? Because they're the ones that are slightly different because they're done in resin.
They're done in resin, yeah.
But they're still great. So,
I shall allow it.
I was just wondering, because I haven't actually, I can't remember the undead heroes, but I remember the Northern Kingdoms ones. So
you've got a little Fundead necromancer.
Yeah. Yes. Very nice.
Just needs an apprentice with a shovel, and he's good to
go. Yes.
Well, hang on. There was at least one of those villagers with a shovel.
Oh, there we go. Yeah. Just use
3 coppers a day. Come on, Mikey. Let's go.
And then
I like that. Yeah.
King in the north.
They're a little more batty.
Yeah. he's an animated skeleton, like Jason and the Argonauts. That's what they're for.
Yeah, but some of the barding on the horse, it's starting to have like echoes of bat bits.
Spiky.
I don't mind the barding on the horse because that's very close to historically accurate.
Oh, sorry. I mean the actual part down the flanks.
Where's the bit down the flanks? Let's go back.
There.
Yeah.
On his horse.
Yeah, again,
it's arse armor.
There's Renaissance armor, especially the stuff that was made in Germany. Yeah. Was very similar to that. So I don't mind it. I mean, even the fact he's got a crown over the top of his helmet, it's not so over the top that you would go, oh, they've deliberately got some blacksmiths, murdered them up, and then resurrected them to amend all the stuff. I just wouldn't paint it purple. If you just painted it in metals and then rusted it back, I think it would look less
Batwing
fantasy. Less fantastical and more realistic.
The purple is a little bit of an assault to the eye.
Very nicely.
That's
we like your miniatures, but we hate your color scheme. That what we're saying.
Yeah, well, generally we have to find something to complain about. So why not complain about that?
Then they expanded out into the dwarves. Did they do the dwarves as a Kickstarter as well?
Kickstarter as well,
yeah. So it fulfilled recently. I've got some of them behind me. Weirdly,
we were talking about it a couple of weeks ago. Yeah.
I like the fact that you're getting a mounted and unmounted version of the same.
Yes,
very good.
Mounted on RAM.
Touch.
And he has, I think, that's a runestone optional hand, so you can have his hand completely open or one clutching a runestone to lob at somebody's head, and he realizes that runestones don't do anything.
The nice thing about these dwarves, I remember, is that they're not your classic kind of Warhammer mountain dwarves, if you know what I mean.
No, they are not.
They've gone down the route of trying to almost weirdly kind of like Renaissance them, I guess you'd say. Where they look like they actually maybe are in like a dwarven Venice or something, which I think is kind of cool.
Just a higher level of technology than the peasants and the humans.
Because obviously, they work away in their mines and their mountains building weaponry and black powder guns and all that kind of stuff. And so they have like flintlocks and all sorts of different things, which I think is really cool and a nice way to kind of differentiate them from other dwarf ranges. So, yeah.
This is weird. Do they not have a shot of them actually built?
Fortunately, no.
You have to imagine. They're also on their Facebook, but
or, you know what you do, Lord, if you want to see them built, you buy the box.
You buy the box. We'll get Jerry to show off the ones that he's got behind him. So.
Using these as my sharpshooters and Kings of War.
Yeah.
You can get like 3 regiments out of one box. That's a bargain. By Grabthar's Hammer, people. That is a bargain. And they are filth in game. I'm just saying. 36 range, all the piercing.
I'm seeing one of them, has raided the kitchen for his helmet.
The flathead, I don't mind that because that's actually very close to what Mantic have for their dwarves, so it helps blend them in better. I like the big, thick, chunky pavises as well. They can hide.
But yeah, they've got all like the feathers and they've got the slightly slashed silk style things going on for their tunics and stuff, and then the padded armor, the quilted armor on top of the proper stuff as well. I think it's very different in so much that it won't fit in necessarily alongside a lot of other fantasy armies unless you maybe you're doing something for Kings of War because the aesthetic kind of matches a little bit there.
Look smashing for Imperial Dwarves,
But I think if you were to put them next to a lot of other kind of generic fantasy dwarves, say for example the Oathmark ones and that kind of thing, they would look different enough. So yeah, but they've done all the core things you'd need effectively. You've got a leader, you've got a caster, you've got cavalry, you've got infantry, and you've got
heavy infantry and ranged
archers. And
I was thinking about making an Oathmark dwarf army, but then they started showing this stuff off, and I just put the whole project to the side. I said, "Nah, I'm gonna wait
and see." I like that as well.
But now it's been waiting and seeing forever.
It's nice that they do female.
They're
partly on the sprue anyway. But if you want to bulk up,
just make more of them.
I mean, those are really nice.
But they resin heads. They like a resin.
I believe those are resin.
Fine resin. There you go. Yep.
But having a whole bunch of additional heavy armored, if you want to make an elite unit for your army, like Iron Guard instead of your filthy cheap Ironclad, because Defense 6 is amazing. I'm playing a lot of Kings of War at the moment. And it's good. It's good to have them. But fascinating to see where they go after this. There are some little sort of standalone things. So there is an elf already, but no range. So we may see a range of elves in the future.
Before we move into historical stuff, there is another fantasy section on this site.
Yes.
That's kind of like a step where they were kind of selling other people's stuff before they got their range up and running.
So Frostgrave, Oathmark, Stargrave, you'll see they're all just the Osprey stuff. The fantasy football is their own resin team of Amazons. So that is doable. Although apparently slow. Very, very slow.
Oh, we got pictures of the models there.
Yep.
That's useful.
Yay.
So that's the whole team, full 16. And then I think there's also a star player and possibly a big... not liking this site today, are you?
You need to plug in a fresh hamster to the router.
Hardly. No, Italy, no. There we go. So yeah, nice set of Amazons if you plan on playing a bit of Blood Bowl.
Yeah, nice set of Amazons.
Lovely set of Amazons. Problem, Ben?
Moving
No? Just
on.
checking.
Oh dear.
Into historical.
Into the historicals. And
Back
again,
to the safety of World War II.
They should have. Where did all their other historical stuff go? Like medieval and stuff. Yeah, they got all that as well.
They've got this. As you can see, there's an awful lot of stuff from Gripping Beast to Perry's and the whole chunky stuff from Vitrix and all the rest. If I just go down and go, damn. And then that will give us their range of stuff. So, like we were saying earlier, Burn and Loot for Deus Vult is, I think, the only book that's currently purchasable. The other one's being
out of print. Skirmish rules, I believe.
Yeah, that's the skirmishy one, isn't it?
Yeah, that's a pack with all 3 books, but they're all currently out of stock because the main core. It's an interesting set of rules.
That's the one. Isn't that the one where you can rank up your guys into like a block and then break them apart for skirmishing and stuff as well?
Yes,
I think you can. Yeah.
It's also the one that was one of the first games that I think we covered that had a lot of those command mechanics in it. So being able to look after troops, and like some troops might not even arrive, and the fog of war and all that kind of stuff. Yeah, it was like Alessio Cavatoria.
Yeah, you build three battles: a reconnaissance, a main battle, and then your reserve. And then depending on how the reconnaissance goes, there's like a whole sub game where you're choosing the terrain you're going to fight on. So whoever wins the reconnaissance and scouting gets to deploy certain terrain features. So if you're cavalry heavy, you might want big open plains. If you're all about the skirmishing archers, you might want lots of terrain and fields to stop your opponent from getting at you. But yeah, fascinating rule set. Hopefully it'll be back in print soon. As you can see, these are some of the resin ranges. So,
is that? Oh yeah, smaller box sets. So
the smaller box sets.
They're the ones they started out with.
Yeah, so they started with the resin and then went on to hard plastics after. Sorry, Justin.
Sorry, just one question. Why does one of them have purity seals on his shield?
Does one of them have purity seals on the shield? Is that because you've been playing too much 40k?
Yeah.
See, what happened was tassels. That one might be purity seals. Yeah, the Reconquista was because it was a crusade. You bought your way into heaven by removing
scout badges
from Spain. So
heaven via the route of murder.
Yeah, plenary indulgences, things like that. That will never cause any problems ever by being sold. Just saying. But you have the likes of Teutonics. The Templars were particularly funky.
Yeah, and the Byzantine stuff they've been plucking away at for ages now.
Oh, the Izzy Busies, yeah. He's an interesting looking fella. Choice of heads as well.
Nice.
They really are nice. They are, again, a little bit chunkier, I'd say, in the most part. But then I think they give off that really awesome sort of heroic. Heroic fantasy. Heroic.
They're not that chunky though.
Because you've played around with the plastic Swedes, haven't you?
Yeah, I have plastic Swedes, and I have their Russians as well. The vast majority of my Saga army is built up from actually a couple of box sets of their medieval Russians.
Yeah. I think the characters are slightly more larger than life, I think. But I think that's mainly just because they want to show off. But yeah.
You mean like historical figures?
Well, yeah.
Well, I think they're actually smaller. If you put them up against likes of what's that? Bloody Footsore and stuff like that. The heads and things on these guys is actually smaller.
Yeah, certainly compared to the gripping base plastics, I think they are.
But certainly compared to that.
They still mix fairly well. You can see the sprue options there. So you've got a range of shields, depending on what shields you want to put on your models there, Lloyd. Because I know that's a very important thing.
Yeah.
What shields do they get?
I thought of mentioning it, then I decided not to mention it, and then I mentioned it.
You took the higher ground there.
I attempted to.
It's a great way to grind your army build to a complete halt. Procrastinating over seals.
How many years?
5
at minimum.
Look, they've got bucklers. How dare they? Pick a side, people. Either round shields or teardrop shields. These little halfway house bucklers, they're good.
Yeah, and actually pick, are you melee or ranged?
Oh, I think all ranged people would prefer not to be shot.
I think so.
Counter battery fire is a terrible thing.
Hey, that one guy's wearing a walnut whip on his head. That's cool.
It's no walnut whip. If the Byzantine Empire was still around, they'd be very annoyed with what you said there. We'll show off Saladin. This is a beautiful Saladin model.
It really is. Yeah. This is where a lot of their focus was, I think, over sort of last year and the year before. It was very much on the idea of building up their Crusades force a bit more. Because they had all the Teutonic stuff, but then they were really wanting to build up on the Arab infantry and all that kind of bit stuff as well, to kind of give you the two sides effectively to fight out battles with. So yeah,
play the resin shields.
Yeah, I procrastinated over these ages ago and still haven't done anything with them.
They still have the tape on them. So
the blister is still.
Oh no, it's been opened.
Oh, it's been opened. Okay,
look at that, peeps.
Yeah. He's taken the first step.
It's always the hardest one. Always the hardest. But
Berbers.
Yeah. Coming soon. Looked at those a couple of weeks ago, or maybe last week. This is like
the one that you'll know this range from years and years. That particular box set is years old now.
Oh yeah, first time we saw that was
way back when.
Salute was the first place we saw them. I don't remember the year.
I'm fairly sure this was more or less just after the book came out. I think these were coming out. So
are we talking like 2010, 2012, something like that?
2012.
2012 was the launch of the game. Yeah. So yeah.
They're still really nice. I mean,
they are good.
Want to run some Teutonic Knights? Very sweet.
You proper dashing forward knightly poses.
Yeah, you do sorts of brutalism into all the pagans all around you. There's next words. I'll teach them. Hey, it's nice the fact that whenever they went for it, they didn't immediately go Deus Vult and we're going to base all our stuff in the Holy Land. Because there's so many other crusades. They started with the Teutonic
Northern Crusade stuff
in the north, the Baltic Crusades, and then they did some stuff around Sweden. Then they did the Reconquista with Spain, and now 10 years later, they're finally going on. Here's the Holy Land sort of crusades that other people are more au fait.
I suppose we should probably build Richard the Lionheart and Co.
Turkopolds.
They feel like I have enough troops to do it now.
Yeah.
Who are these?
These are Turkopolds. So they would have been. It eventually became whatever like Cav with ranged and spears were known as, but originally it was the Christianized Turks. So they fought in a more Islamic way. So the like Cav that was always harassing and causing a lot of issues for the Crusaders in the Holy Land. They ended up recruiting a load of these guys.
I'm seeing what you meant about the armor for the horse.
What arm
for the horse?
There's no armor.
The hard edge highlighting was confusing me for a second.
He's very muscular. So.
Yeah, very. Look, it's like a part of a square. What the hell?
It's not the way I would paint it.
No. As you can see, it's not that.
Yeah. On the actual miniature, it's the way it was painted.
But they do like chunky horses in this range.
They do.
Now, the horses are fat.
You can also
they're quite big, bottomed, wide. But that makes the gaming world go round.
They've got it does. They've also got
bottomed horses,
scale armor for sort of cataphract style things, or even half armored horses, which is really nice.
I didn't know they had this box set. I might have to get some of these.
It's I was going to say relatively recent. It's probably not that recent now.
End of last year, beginning of this year, maybe. Yeah. So.
I mean, we're a good long way through this year.
So people say, but I refuse to believe them. But yeah, the Berber and the Blackguard are coming in November.
They're the ones that we looked at a couple of weeks ago.
Didn't you get the memo, Justin, that a year is now made of 2 years? It has to be 2 years to be counted as a year.
That makes sense.
That's what happened with the pandemic then.
That's what happened.
These ones are great.
Nobody told me this.
I love these guys. They're so cool.
And more Spanish.
Those look good.
Yeah.
Nice mixture of like styles and armor types in there.
Yeah.
Really nice mercenary feel to them.
Yeah, that's the way that I'd see using them as like mercenaries in like a fantasy game or something, because they've got the ragtag look. Very cool.
You don't want to reconquer the south of the Iberian Peninsula then?
No, let's not do that. She's a silly place.
Okay. Well, we'll see how this is
done.
going to go. But yeah, there's things like the Varangian Guard.
Vikings
as well, yeah. So,
there's
Swedish warriors.
The Swedish warriors, which are hard plastic. The Varangians are resins.
Is this the stuff from BMV? No, this isn't the stuff from BMV.
No,
this is their own range, isn't it?
Yeah.
They're Varangians, yeah.
Mm.
Oh, they're so cool.
Vikings who left the fjords and went, we quite like it here. Pay us
Vikings in the sun. Yeah.
Could not have been a good idea. Just saying. They didn't want to be heavily armored. They just needed to keep the sun off.
Yeah.
I guess there was no factor 50 back then.
Really nice range. No.
And are those resins?
Those are resins.
They are nice looking.
They really are.
Really nice.
I love all the detail in them. And it's those helmets with the full-on chain coif.
Chain mask, yeah.
And mask over the front.
Beard.
Oh, yes, the chainmail beard. it's so cool.
Well, that's
so
it. Because it was so warm, they had to shave the beards off, but they still wanted to look like they had beards.
Maybe.
It's strange they don't have any of their own Varangian shields in this pack, though, because they do have them. I literally holding them.
Well, the thing is, they never show the additional bits in there, but they have a whole bit section where you can go in and start going hunting for fantasy or historic shields. So if I go to the bits, what have you got in there? No, just the horses. You're going to make me find the shields now, and I'm not going to find the shields.
Is it in accessories?
I'm just going to say that their bits are on the website.
Oh, yes, the bits are on the website. I'm just saying it's a bit strange. They don't seem to have packed them with their own Varangian shields.
It would up the price, and then people would just
complain. Is this Lloyd's favourite section, I'm guessing?
Just the shields.
All the shields.
There's the Albion shields if you want to do Preternian-like people with all their lovely little... I'm not going to paint anything onto my shields because I'm going to have them all cast, and you can't make me.
Perfecto.
That's very good. If you do a blue circle behind that and then a yellow field behind that, that would be Edda Skills. That's years later in the Napoleonic Wars. However, it would still work.
Well, hang on. That top middle one, just white field, red bull. There you go. Wait, hey, Chicago.
And the shield is a good section to hit if you're buying into the fantasy range of their Northmen, but you want to give your Northmen a different look to your mates' Northmen, you can dip into the shield section.
Oh, that's true, yeah. Yeah, you could go absolutely nuts and maybe replace all those dish bowl shields with something a bit more Varangian. Very fancy. Look at that. I mean, imagine that unit coming at you like Cleopatra. You'd know it when they hit you. There you go. So that's
amazing stuff.
A little brief look. There's an awful lot more, especially in the historic section. And even the Albion range, we didn't have a look at the Pegasus Knights. They're Knights on Pegasus.
Yeah.
You can work it out.
That's what it says on 10.
Right. We shall take a quick switch, and when we come back, Ben will be telling us what's in the news.
Coming to you from the center of Northwestern Europe. Covering board games, war games, card games, and all that you love. It's the news.
All right, folks, and back for some news. We're going to be starting off in the realm of sci-fi, because we're dealing with a lot of fantasy and historical earlier in the show. So we're going to be looking at what Corvus Belli have got lined up for release in October, so next month, but the pre-orders are available now for you to dive into and have fun with. We have a bunch of stuff that's going to be expanding beyond what's available, well, what was available from Operation Blackwind, so sort of like the next steps for that. But we start off with Kornak Gazarot, which is a fantastic new option for you to include in your Marat aggression force on the tabletop.
It's a hell of a tuning fork.
Yes.
When one blade is not enough.
They said in the description, oh, he has a flamethrower. And I was like, Yes, I know he has a flamethrower, but what the hell is that?
What is this?
I assume it's for cutting the legs off tags, basically.
Work, yeah.
So yes,
clearly that's for the ration packs.
Oh well, maybe yes. Yeah.
This is very by the power of Grayskull.
Yes.
It is very by the power of Grayskull. Yes.
I don't know. There was an old video game, Transistor. If you ever played it.
I remember Transistor.
Yeah, I think the hero had a sword very similar.
She did. She had a very big sword like that was a tuning fork because it was all about music. Yes, very true. Yeah.
I remember Transistors.
Different. Yeah. I really like that they've continued down that route of the Morat kind of having a little bit of that kind of brute sense about them from like Halo and stuff, which I think is really cool, and throwing together a very awesome force. They are like the top tier aliens, I think, if you want to dive in and play around with some stuff in Infinity. Forget about Toha for now. Nobody needs to know about Toha.
But the Toha, they're lonely.
I don't care. They can stay lonely. Right. So in addition to that, we also have some support packs that come out for Operation Blackwing. So Operation Blackwing was the last of the Infinity Code 1 sets that had come out recently. It was the big themed sort of week and all the videos about it earlier in this year. But now you've got 2 additional packs that have come out to support both the Aleph forces and the Haq Islam. So these are
freaking me out though, Ben.
What, the chibi anime bots?
These little tiny things with the tiny boobs.
The remotes, yeah.
They're freaking me out.
I hadn't noticed the little boobs until you told us. So there we go. But anyway, so you get the 2 little weird remotes to play around with, which is really nice. And then you also get there's like an engineer and a doctor for both of these forces. So they've kind of been balanced for you to basically add the same kind of stuff into both the Haq Islam and the Aleph forces on the tabletop. So you're on an even footing with all of that stuff as well, which I think is quite nice.
No boobs, though.
No boobs, but he's got a big old ball. So there we go.
And that's the yin to the yang.
I mean, it's a little bit Zulu.
Yeah. The thing that I really liked about these ones is that I love that they capture the aesthetics of the forces really nicely. The Aleph one's got that proper like over the top cyberpunk feel to it, especially that good dude on the left.
If you go back to the other one that we were just looking at, the funny thing is their little codpiece thing, right?
Yeah.
During the production of like the Phantom Menace, or there was the one after. Anyway, it was the one with like the bigger enemy robots.
Yeah.
They had this animation going, and they had this little bit that sticked up like this, right? And George was watching it and going, "Yeah, I really like it, but you're gonna have to paint this bit way down." And everyone's behind him going, "Oh, we never noticed that wiggling around as it walking." And he's like, "Paint that way down."
Also, why is one of the Scooby gang here? Jinkies.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Hello, Velma.
Yeah. There we go. They always like working some kind of pop culture in. Maybe they are inspired by Scooby-Doo. Who knows?
That makes sense.
But yeah, we'll have to ask Carlos when he's over. But yes, in addition to that, we also have some very awesome big stuff as well. So this is the Gator Squadron for the Nomads. This is one of their big tags. Just awesome. As someone on Facebook said, yes, the famous left flank tag. Because you can't put him behind cover and not get shot. I was like, of course, yes. But yeah, very, very cool. I love that they've got all that kind of really awesome blast shielding and everything all over the tag. I think the fact that the gun is held by the arm of the actual pilot, the tag pilot, but then it's also linked up to the arm of the tag, I think it's just so cool. And you can imagine that rotating and firing out, hundreds and hundreds of rounds a second and all that kind of stuff.
Where do the pilot's legs go? Is he
they're in
a ball?
No, the legs are in the top half of the tag's legs. So he's like in the the groin and the lower chest.
Anatomical sense.
Well, yeah, but massive walking robot.
There are an awful lot of gymnasts are recruited to be tag pilots.
Thank you.
Yes.
Gary, thank you so much.
Yeah. At least it's not a big space marine papoose. So there we go.
That's true.
The final of the models for the October set of releases is the Chernobog Armored Detachment. So everyone's like, Ariadne, you have no good tags. You suck. And they went, well, what about these, bitch? And these have stomped into battle.
It's very Mech Warrior.
It is very Mech Warrior. It is laden down with rockets. It has a massive heavy machine gun on the front of it. And yes, as has been pointed out by people in the comments for this,
Claymore.
this is it does have claymores laden into the front of the vehicle, so that front towards enemy is very important. I thought maybe it'd been put there because a pilot had turned around and accidentally shot a bunch of his own troops once, and they were like, maybe we should tell them which way's front.
You are the reason this sign exists.
Yes.
Honestly, you know what I would love to see someone do for these guys is do a little remote for them, but it's just a Roomba with a claymore on top.
That would be cool. Yeah,
makes sense.
Like a little moving daisy cutter. There we go. But yeah, very cool stuff there indeed. Something awesome for Ariadne to play around with. You know, they don't often get big walkers and that kind of stuff. So
I do like this, but you know,
that's amazing. But
insert Top Gear meme here. This is great, but I like this more. The Chernobog is basically the Ariadne going, but we have tags at home. That's the meme tag,
there.
Tag at home.
Yes, we have tags.
But we have McDonald's.
A surprised coconut on top of
it.
Hello, I'm in a war.
Very cool stuff there for Infinity. As I say, all of this stuff is going to be available to pre-order right now. There's stuff there for both Code One and Infinity N4. And of course, everything sort of works together and is all wibbly wobbly, timey-wimey, and everything like that. So yeah, very cool stuff.
Timey-wimey.
Sweet to the beat. Speaking of timey-wimey, Temple of the West have been working away with.
We love those guys.
Daniel Mersey Esquire.
Gary loves those guys.
As we are aware of their work, for a range of the Once and Future King. So this will be part of the Knights of the Round Table. But not just any Knights of the Round Table. Daniel Mersey's Knights of the Round Table. Ooh. It's like M&S, but, more knightly. So these aren't for a game in particular, but as I pointed out to Dan, he's wrote a lot of rule sets over the years, and he generally sticks Arthur in there at some point in some way. And this was just a case of, we want to work with you to do something. And Daniel went, have you considered King Arthur? And they went, okay, sure. So these are the first 3 packs that they've showcased fully painted. There's another couple that we have previews of, and Kyle was saying that the initial release will be 7 packs strong when it comes out. Cool. There are cards, and I think the cards are for Song of Blades and Heroes, although it might be for one of the other ones. But the cards are a little addendum. They're nice to have. They tell you who you're looking at, but otherwise, really, what you're here for are some classical King Arthur,
very Le Morte d'Arthur style,
very
Knights of the Round Table.
And some of them are absolutely beautiful. That Lady of the Lake,
that's really awesome. Yeah,
I mean,
glistening Same Knight holding her sword.
How do you paint that face?
Very carefully.
Glaze skin tone into the lighter or into the deeper recesses. Think about it as like you paint her all flesh and then dry brush it white will give you a very similar result, although a bit rougher.
I think that's definitely why I do it. Paint the face and then paint the white into the face.
Yeah, because it's on the higher ridges that aren't pressed against the skin, but they're a beautiful set of sculpts. And you can see
they've covered all the knights as well, I think.
Yeah, they've covered an awful lot of them. In fact, they've got more coming, some that I had to Google because I'm going, who is that? Is he a thing from Arthurian legend? Because I don't think I've ever come across him.
There are some very weirdly named knights that you're like, huh?
Yeah, which is all good. I even like the fact that it has that blend of the high feudal and then the more rustic knight, your Scots, your Irish, who wouldn't be wearing full sort of plate and big basket helms, but instead it's just like chainmail coifs, and he looks like he should be giving a wooden cap to some.
That's what I was thinking.
Tomb robber in the middle of a desert somewhere.
Who's chosen correctly or wisely.
But that's what he looked like before he spent 800 years living in the desert. Yeah, back when he could still swing that sword.
Look, he's even got the key to the cave.
Yep. It's a big door they have to close. big door. But yeah, the initial packs look absolutely superb.
I love the Merlin model. I think the Merlin looks amazing.
It has that classic druid wizard look to him, without being just, it's Gandalf or he's got loads of brambles in his hair for no reason. Either or works for Merlin on occasion, but I like that. I just like him. He looks like he's very Hollywood-esque. And then these they previewed the other day.
I saw these and was like, oh my God, I'm more excited for these than I am for the Knights.
Magog and Gog.
Yeah.
Two
classical giants out there doing the Lord's own work, battering people. That will be interesting because I can see how it is just actual chain.
Yeah.
I wonder if they're going to cast that or just include chain for you to glue on, because it looks better than cast. To make it cast properly, it'll just be a big chunky.
I would maybe think that the ball is attached to the. Oh no, it's not attached to the bases. It's really weird. Yeah.
Maybe it is though. Maybe it's just on the edge there, and then you.
It could be.
I would say it's on the edge, and what you do is you stick the bit of chain between it and the club.
Maybe, yeah.
And they provide the bit of chain because it would be more durable than actually.
If only there was some way we could find out, Kyle.
Only there was.
Asking somebody.
Like in the comments below, for example.
I love how
in the post.
Sorry.
Yeah, I love how Gog has got a tilting shield. Just in case he does a little bit of, just in case he does a little bit of jousting.
I imagine that's less a tilting shield and more someone
he's
poor
tilted
devil
over the edge of a cliff or something. Yeah.
Or he sees someone firing a rock at him and he just goes, nope.
Yeah. My favorite's the Green Knight, though. I think the Green Knight. I'm obsessed with the Green Knight and all that kind of stuff. So that's really cool.
Green Knight's interesting for a couple of reasons. The first, Green Knight is awesome.
Mm-hmm.
And also they've managed to give him an axe, unlike other people have given him the sword. But also there's a choice of two heads. I haven't seen the other head yet, but they have said that there's going to be an alternate
I hope
head.
It's like the one from the Green Knight
film where it's like a living tree foresty thing come to life.
Like the Green Man. Yeah.
Yes.
I don't think I've ever seen this movie.
It's terrible and very badly edited.
You should go watch it.
It's beautiful though.
Oh, it looks fantastic, but there are whole scenes missing and out of order in the edit. I don't know who did it, but they were clearly drunk at the time.
The ghostly knight as well on the far right, the ethereal knight. I love that because it's got the proper Romano British feel to it. Oh, lovely.
Yeah, so that was the other thing that I noticed. And then the one I had to go and Google.
To be fair, I don't remember Marholt or the Turquin, so
no. Apparently, he's an Irish knight.
Okay.
Who fought Tristan, but he appears. He appears in several different versions. In some, he's more friendly, and in other ones, he's more evil. And some, he is actually a member of the Round Table himself. But Tristan ends up. That's where Tristan met his wife, because he had to go back to Ireland after he got poisoned by his blade to find a way to be cured. Yeah. And it was his daughter he ended up marrying. And again, it has a very Irish gallowglass feel to it. It's, Gamby with chain over the top. He's not posh. He's not, I've got the latest Norman looking gear on. He's still rocking something that wasn't dissimilar from, Viking era 500 years earlier, because, why change something that isn't broken?
Yeah.
So I like the variation that they've done within the feudalism of the knights. It's all good. Yeah. Fascinating stuff from the guys at Temple of the West. I can't wait for this range to actually land. Then I can order it all.
He is for a while now, so shouldn't be too far off. I think.
No, they're just getting the last couple of packs ready and painted before they launch it. And I think I was saying it's going to go straight to retail like everything else they've done. They're not planning on doing any sort of campaigns or crowdfunding. It's all about just making the stuff and then getting people to buy it. So buy it.
Keep it simple.
Keep it simple, stupid. That's very much us. We are all about keeping it simple.
And stupid.
And very stupid.
Dibs on stupid.
Right. Tiny Peoples then.
Yes. So switching over from 28 mil and that kind of stuff to 10 mil, but also they have things available in 15 mil as well. We're looking at the work of Cromarty Forge, who a lot of people will know have popped up on a bunch of different Etsy sellers lists and all that kind of things over the last little while, doing amazing stuff in the realms of fantasy and all that kind of jazz. But we also had the recent release of the Mid-Republic Romans in 10 mil. As I say, you can also get them in different scales if you want to do rescaling of the files. It's the Ethereal Knight army, yeah. So this is a full-on army in 10 mil that comes with all of your Roman command, comes with your Roman cavalry, So your proper nobles and all that kind of stuff. You've got your Triorii, you've got your Principii, you've got your Hastati, and you've got your Velites as well. Within those, you've also then got marching and sort of aggressive attacking poses of them too. So you can have them just sort of marching, steadily towards the enemy if you want, or you could have it so you'd have a mixed regiment where you have some at the front fighting while the rest of them are back and pushing forward, trying to get into the midst of the combat. In addition, there's also the option to play around with some Spanish light cavalry in there as well. If you want to add your auxiliaries into the mix and play around with that. But yeah, amazing stuff from Cromarty Forge once again for those people that are looking to build up an ancient army for a myriad of different games that exist. I know that these popped up in the Fantastic Battles Facebook group and all that kind of thing, because everyone was like, hey, we can play some awesome historicals with these, or just use them for fantasy and all that kind of jazz. I think is really nice to see. And really finely detailed, very nicely put together. If you've looked at any of the Cromarty stuff in the past, as I say, through Etsy and all sorts of different retailers who have their own retailer codes to sell this stuff on, a lot of the time they'll do fully printed versions of these for you rather than you having to buy the STL files. So you can dive in and play around with those, and they are really nice. And I'm sure these are going to be just as good. So
much painting, but I think they'll wash really well with all the raised areas, especially on the shields. You just paint the tops and
speed paints all the way. I would say speed paints all the way.
It's the way to do it.
Most of them are the infantry anywhere based on strips. So you're doing a set of like 5 guys in one go.
If you want to do War Master, because they're War Master Ancient Battles is a really good set.
Where are these coming from?
Not get that anymore.
Cromarty Forge.
I'm just going to throw it out there. You've never watched the shipping forecast, have you?
No.
Cromarty.
Cromarty. There we go. Cromarty Forge. I know Vikings, Zero, and all that kind of stuff, but there we
need
go.
to watch more shipping.
Cromarty Forge. Cromarty Forge.
Watch. Listen to more shipping forecast.
But
it's a great range. Really nice to see them doing the Republican, since they'd already started with the early Imperial as well. So it's good to see, and there's a heck of a lot of work into those.
I don't think I've ever heard of this company. Is this something we're going to indie at some point? Do they have enough stuff
we could do, or do them as like you could definitely do them as a 3D printing is the shiz, because they have a hell of a lot of stuff in that regard. So
I think indie might be better because they start off doing regular stuff, so that they've got a lot of stuff that isn't 3D as well. In fact, I think they do 10 mil dwarves.
They do. That's how I know of them.
Yeah, there you go. Okay.
Is that where you got your 10 mil dwarves, Justin?
No.
Those were Pendragon.
Oh, yes.
I actually got re-gifted to Warren.
Right.
So they're now lost to the annals of time.
Absconded with them.
Only slightly loved.
It's one way of looking at it, I suppose. Yeah. Right. Leaving Cromarty, Dogrel, and all the rest behind.
There we go.
Moving off to Preternia.
Yeah. So the folks at Archon Studios have been expanding their Masters of the Universe Battlegrounds range with a new bunch of expansion content. I had completely forgot that Preternia was a place, but apparently if you use the cosmic key in the central tower, you can send your heroes and villains to the realm of Preternia, where you can battle once more against dinosaurs and all sorts of weird and funky stuff.
He-Man versus dinosaurs.
He-Man versus dinosaurs.
You had me at He-Man versus dinosaurs.
And that looks like a mecha.
They even have mecha bits. Yes.
Of course, because
it's a mecha Rex.
It's sometime
and it still
in the
has
future.
tiny arms.
We're on to wave 2 of this already.
Yeah. So the initial set came out not too long ago. Then we had an expansion set that included, I think it was Beastman and a couple of other releases. This one now goes to the next level, and this is a really fun expansion because it throws in more terrain options that are kind of like hazardous at the same time as being helpful. So you can take cover behind them, but there's also like volcanic explosions and strange swampy pits and all that kind of stuff thrown into the mix. There's also the Tyrantosaurus, as you see there, not Tyrannosaurus.
Is that not Tyrantosaurus?
Tyrantosaurus. I think it's it's probably just a lovely play on words. There we go. Tyrantosaurus. Anyway, it will attack both sides, not just one. He cannot be tamed by He-Man or Skeletor. He will attack everyone on the tabletop, which I think is really awesome.
Whoever's closest gets it.
Whoever's closest gets it, which I think is really nice.
Surely someone has the controls for him, though. He's got.
Well, that's what I'm thinking. Somebody's got close enough to give him cybernetic upgrades.
When he was sleeping, they did that. Yeah. I like that they've given him metal legs so he doesn't hurt himself on all the lava.
Yeah.
I like to think this is a Skeletor plan gone wrong.
Probably. Yes. Yeah. You
Joke's
fool!
on you, He-Man.
But yeah, so it's a really fun little set. Comes with additional plastic trade elements, as you can see there. You get the new battle mat. You get all the additional rules. And Battlegrounds is one of those fun games from them where you basically just put together a team of heroes and villains and slog it out on the tabletop. So I know a lot of people have picked it up and had fun with it. I should point out that everything we're looking here, including the things we're about to see, are available in Europe only because of licensing. So if you want to get your hands on these, you either need to live in Europe or you need to have a lovely European friend who'll send it to you. But there we go.
I will say that lava effect is a little bit unfortunate. It looks more like, cartoon honey.
Well, it is cartoony, I suppose. So yeah,
don't mind it.
But yeah, in addition to the legends of,
we all knew it was lava. I wasn't worried about being stuck like a flying
Justin's
amber.
just really sweet on honey.
Could be giant amber things. This is where Jurassic Park comes from.
Oh yeah,
these poor buggers were trapped.
Yeah.
Anyway.
I love it.
Yes, sorry. In addition to the Legends of Preternia set, which is the full-on expansion, there are also 2 new miniature sets coming out. They come with cards for you to use them in the game as well, if you want to. Skeletor and He-Man obviously exist as characters anyway, but these kind of give you new fun miniatures to use alongside their lovely cats. So you've got Battle Cat and Panther.
Not a fan of Panther's hat, and I know it's from like a more modern version of the cartoon that I'm unaware of because I'm old. But stupid.
But just no from Jerry.
But yeah, so
He-Man's cat looks amazing.
Battle Cat looks great. I love
so scary. But Skeletor's cat looks a bit cute.
But yeah, so
He reminds me of my kitten when she's pissed off at me.
Yeah. But He-Man and Battle Cat and Skeletor and Panther are going to be available over the Eschenspiel period. So while that is going on, you'll be able to either pick them up at the event from Archon, or you can pick them up online during that period. There is pre-orders available for them right now. So if you want to guarantee you get your hands on either of these sets or both of them, you can go and pre-order them right now over on the Archon Studios web store, which will be linked down below in the news post and all that kind of good stuff.
Along with the secret of gummy berry juice.
Am I singing the wrong tune? Am I doing the gummy bears?
They all sound the same.
At least you didn't do the Care Bears.
Right, we have one final bit of news to tide us over for another 7 days. And this is something to Worf. You surprised me, Ben.
I've got to be in there at some point. I'm not going to gild the lily on these Leagues of Votann stuff because we have seen all of this stuff previously.
I'm going to say the unexpected. I am not a fan.
Well, I'm not buying this, so there we go. So can't be that great.
Do not like the designs of these. It's just not.
I thought we loved them.
I don't know if it's unexpected.
I like the models. I just don't want to buy the set.
They seem to have been very Marmite-y for the 40k fan base.
I actually really like it as a whole. I think it come together.
I think the army's really nice. I just don't want to buy the set. But
I can live with the characters, but the infantry and the bikes, just no. These guys I'm okay with. Yeah. But everything else has just been a no. Big fan.
More for me. So yes, this is the Leagues of Votann army set that is available for pre-order. It is a standard pre-order as far as I'm aware. I assume they're going to be doing something where you'll have to, wait in a queue and all that kind of stuff to get them because these army sets tend to go quite fast. But this is a big limited edition thing in some senses. Don't worry, I'll go into it a little bit later.
I don't know. I love them because there's such a departure from looking at bloody Marines. I'm so bored looking at Marines. These are great.
So you get the Carl, or also can be built as Uthar the Destined, who's that HQ fellow on the left-hand side there. You also get the Einhir Champion, who is the chap in the Einhir armor for you to use in your games. You then get 20 of the Hearthkin Warriors, or you can split them up into 2 units of 10 if you want to. And then there's also the 3 Hernkin Pioneers as well, which are your sort of scouting jet bikes with their sort of anti-grav things. I think a lot of people are going to come up with little tiny track kits for these to make them into trikes or something maybe in the future. I'd love to see
I'm just going to throw rubbish and tin cans and stuff in front of mine. So they can hoover it all up.
Yes.
I think the thing I like least is the Space Winnebago that these guys get.
I quite like.
I quite like that.
It's a camper van.
I like the moon buggy stuff. I think that's really cool.
I don't know if I'd seen these or if I just completely blanked that the bikers were all wearing big Biggles-like flying coats.
Yeah, they're wearing like expeditionary, like.
It's a bit weird that they're wearing it over their armor.
But I still appreciate it. I quite like the fact he's got a toilet seat around his head. Actually, that rear gunner. I'm not sure why that is, but
it's one of those things you need to sit on if you've got piles. That's what
but yeah,
he's that guy that just always tries to look cool by just flicking the collar up.
Yes, he's cantonaring it. That's the
sadly that is the phrase. Yeah.
But yeah, so as well as the miniatures in this set, you also get the codex, which comes with the full art look to it. You get the token sheet, which can be used for your grudge tokens in game. You get your data cards, which come in a special pack with special art on it. For you that contains all of your stratagems and your psychic powers, and then you also get the transfer sheets are in there as well. Now, as I said, this is limited edition in so much as the fact that it's a limited edition run of stuff before the initial release of the Leagues of Votann later on down the line. The codex will not be available again separately in that sort of full art style, and neither will the data cards, but everything you see in there will be available later on down the line.
Same as Sisters of Battle.
Same as Sisters of Battle. Same as Black Templars.
Is that standard launch box?
Is that this weekend?
So pre-orders are available tomorrow.
Yeah, come on, check out the OnTableTop store. Swing!
Buy merch.
Buy merch.
Buy toys.
Just models.
But not this merch. We don't allow you to buy these.
No.
Buy models instead.
I hear Free's got a few laying around that you could probably buy off. But yes, this is a new set that's available for you to pick up this weekend if you want to. Dive in and have some fun with that. If you're really excited to bring the Leagues of Votann to the tabletop, I'm going to hang around, I think, for the Combat Patrol, see what that's like. But, having a look online, because there are things online, I had a look at the some information that people had. This comes to around 25 power-ish. So It's a decent enough set for people playing sort of Combat Patrol-y style games and that kind of stuff at the tabletop, especially if you're going to be playing Crusade games and that kind of thing. So, yeah.
There you go. Cool. If you fancy some dwarves for the tabletop, then you
check
out the League of Votann. We are going to take a quick switch, and when we come back, we'll finish off the show by looking at some 3D printing and a few Kickstarters. All right, then we are back, and we're going to be taking a look at a little bit of 3D printing from a company we've covered before, extensively in the miniatures way, but their 3D printing is I was going to say relatively new. It's probably a couple of years old now, isn't it?
A couple of years now, yeah. I think. Yeah.
So I was going to call them their old name. But they've even changed that.
They have.
Everything changes. Nothing stays the same. But Warp Miniatures.
Yeah.
Exploring the British Isles then, Ben.
Yeah.
What was their old name?
Warp Lock.
Warp Lock.
Ah.
With the Q's and the U's.
Yeah. So, yes, Warp Miniatures have been continuing their trip around the British Isles with their selection of releases for this month over on Patreon. They've changed the name, but it's still the same old dashingly handsome and talented Alex Huntley leading this. So he is far too good looking to be in this hobby. But there we go. Anyway, now I've swooned. But yes, so this is Beast of the British Isles Part 2. This is a selection of additional sort of strange creatures and monsters and stuff from around the British Isles that have been brought to life in STL files for you to print off at home. They did some stuff for the British Isles in Part 1, which was last month. We talked about those on a previous show. But here we've got a whole host of new characters for you to dive into. We're starting with the Bugain, which is one of the which is one of the sea trolls of the Isles of Man, which I think with the Isle of Man, which I think is really nice. I love the troll designs and the creature feature stuff that Warp do. I think they've really managed to kind of nail that. I think, which is really nice. I love that they've really got the seaside theme going on there. You've got the seagulls in the back, around the staff and on the head, and
vicious.
Not enough bird poop on there. Not enough
bird poop. It's not Radagast, that's right. But yes, I also learned a bunch of stuff. So I'd never heard of a game before, but apparently they helped Battle Finn McCool of all giants. So there
sounds
we go.
About right.
Yeah.
That sounds like.
I don't think anyone really liked him.
It was great.
Yeah.
Might have been a bit drunk and belligerent on occasion, but mostly great.
But yeah, stunning work on those. I love that it's got a little bit of that kind of troll hunter style aesthetic to it as well, with the look of them. It feels like they could have come from that movie and that Nordic influence as well, which I think is really nice. But just lovely stuff.
Guy badly needs a Manny Penny.
We also have one of the Fae. So Fae and fairies and stuff have been part of British folklore and myth for a very long time. So this was one that was designed to be the Lord of the Fairies. And it's based on, I just need to read it here. So it's the gentleman with the thistledown hair from Jonathan Strange and Mr. Norrell, which is a very good book, actually.
For a fairy, he's Curly Packin.
He is, yes. You get up to a whole lot of stuff in the Fae realm.
Just don't eat the food or you're never coming home.
Exactly. I love that they've gone with that very sort of high and mighty look to the Fae, where they're, got a little bit of a spiteful edge to them, that kind of
French.
Yeah, a bit of nobility to them. Yeah,
where is my gate? It is required.
There was some program on TV about 4 years ago with the Fae and stuff, and it was really creepy.
Carnival Row.
Wow, that might have been it. Yeah.
There we go.
Was it the one where the fairies had like bad Irish accents?
It's one where they were,
and instead of saying Oisín, they went Oisin.
They were they were going in out of mirrors or something into the fairy realm.
Yes.
Did they ever finish?
No, that's not Carnival Row.
Oh no, it had Orlando Bloom in the Carnival Row.
Carnival Row was very gritty.
Oh
Chim Chimney, Mary Partman's Cockerney, Fae realm, steampunky.
Yeah, with female fairies being escorts.
Yes.
Oh, this might be something different then.
Yeah. But anyway,
I've had a Vikings moment there where we're talking about two different shows.
Yeah. But yeah, a really awesome looking Fae Lord for you to include in your games. Paint them up however you like. Next up, another one of the releases, the Green Knight.
Wow.
I love that he's just seen someone pop up in his glade and been like, "Oh, hello."
I mean, it's more along the lines of his family has just caught him, and it's just like, I swear I'm not doing anything. Don't judge me.
But yeah, lovely kind of getting all those Green Man vibes going on with this chap here. Again, nice to see the axe in play.
Yes.
Gotta have the axe. Love the really nice Baroque armor and the roots and all that sort of stuff, and the branches poking out from between the armor as well.
Really nice. Love the
moss work. Yeah.
It's not even the moss work. An almost semi-engraving, like Pictish sort of engraving.
It's really nice.
Like something very early British. This axe has been kicking around these isles forever. It just happens that currently this fine gentleman has it, and we'll take the head clean off you.
Yeah. Lovely miniature there for you to add to your collection. Then we have the Lantern Worm as well. So this was a worm that was very wee, and then it was thrown in a well, and it grew into a dragon. And the man who threw it in the well had to then go and fight the worm once again. And there's a very sad end to the story, but I won't spoil it.
Now, Jimmy, you threw that worm down the well. You're going to have to go and fix that.
Is it like Lair of the White Worm with Hugh Grant? Hugh Grant.
That's not the one that got all pervy, was it?
Yes.
You too can play with the Lantern Worm. But yes, so you got the Lantern Worm there. Definitely go and read the folklore behind that. Who would have thought that it would have ended badly? But there we go. That's folklore for you. Really nice one. And then this is amazing. This is Geff, the talking mongoose.
Of course it is.
So again,
when I looked at it, I immediately thought, Geff the talking mongoose.
So this is weirdly from the Isle of Man once again. And Geff is apparently a poltergeist-style creature that potted around in farmhouses. He is cheeky and gets up to strange hijinks that he pulls on the locals. So he's not even an evil spirit, which I think is quite nice. So that's just something
the farm wife goes out to find the carrots and potatoes for dinner, and he's hid them.
Yes, all that stuff.
Makes sense.
Yeah. It's a really nice little selection of stuff for you to get. As I say, their Patreon is doing great guns, and they've done a really nice set of collections over the last little while. Jerry can even bring up last month's stuff. So that's what they did. They did the Giant, and they did the Bar Guests and all that kind of stuff as well. And the Welsh Ghosty creature whose name I've forgotten.
The rat battling.
Mary Lind, something like that.
That's
cool.
It comes to your house. You have a poetry contest
Mary
at the
Lewis,
door, and if you lose, it comes in and drinks all your beer. I think that's how that goes.
Yeah,
it's more or less what it is. But the Kelpie.
Oh, the Kelpie,
the Scottish Kelpie is amazeballs.
That's gorgeous.
Yeah.
Basically, when I was looking at this, I was thinking, if you're playing Vaesen and you want to do an exploration of the British Isles and use these to illustrate the monsters that your companions are finding, these would be amazing. These would be amazing for that. But yeah, great stuff. Go and check out their Patreon if you want to learn more about it. And really, really good.
Is all for 3D printing?
All 3D printing? Yep, all 3D printing.
That's cool.
Yeah. And it's also the 32mm scale. All heroic, obviously, as you can see by the proportions in the images and that kind of stuff. So really nice things.
It's not all, though, because one of the very first ventures into 3D printing was the 10mm halflings, wasn't it?
They did do that, yeah. So they did 10mm armies.
Yeah.
There's armies of beastmen and halflings now, I think.
About the beastmen, yeah.
But yeah.
It's a very distinctive style.
It's the Ark World aesthetic put to a wider fantasy audience, which I think is quite nice. So yeah.
Terrific stuff. Definitely worth checking out. Checking out the Ark World and Warp Miniatures as a whole as well.
Yeah, and checking out Alex Huntley too. He's a man crush waiting to happen.
Easy, down, boy, down.
Good to know. Right. So
I'll never be able to email him again.
Not if he sees this episode.
Not if he sees the episode.
You'll be all right.
He will see this episode.
You'll be all right. Jerry will ensure.
You'll be all right. Just don't put any kisses or hugs or anything at the end.
Yes.
Cheers, Alex. Kiss.
You do realise that? No, I'm going to put in a little thing in the description of this one, just getting their own band. Just this is why I love him. Just like that.
It'll just be the. If you're watching this video, you'll have already seen it because it'll be the thumbnail. Nice. Right. Shall we wrap up the show with some Kickstarter campaign type things?
Did you win one of our prizes? Find out on our prize claim center over at OnTableTop.com. Here we list all our previous prizes and those who have won. If you see your username, fill out the form to claim your prize. All prizes must be claimed within 30 days.
So we're starting things off with a little bit more fantasy. This one comes courtesy of the folks at Cubicle 7. So folks will remember that if they played the Adventures in Middle-earth game that they worked on for 5th edition, they add some of the really nice journey mechanics and stuff in there that allowed you to sort of fulfill those adventures of Tolkien's world and that kind of stuff. But the team behind that, and also their extended design team, has worked to incredibly balloon out this idea into something epic and amazing for just general Dungeons and Dragons 5th edition. And this is the first of their big Vault 5 ebooks that they've been working on. The idea is that Uncharted Journeys will include rules for traveling in Dungeons & Dragons. So instead of it just being you get from point A to point B and we just kind of just roll a dice and see what happens on a chart kind of thing, they've actually put in loads and loads of detail for having roles for each individual character in your party. Are they the leader? Are they the quartermaster? Are they the scout? Are they the watchman who looks over you at night and all that kind of stuff? They've added in additional stuff for encounters along the way. So you might find ruins, you might find treasures, you might meet peoples. They've put in tables for building up all of your NPCs, for delving into those ruins, who they belong to, who they used to belong to, what treasures might be inside and what kind of aesthetic they have and all that kind of stuff as well. There's also entirely different journey tracks for which locations you're going to. So there's entirely different ones for mountains, cities, forests, deserts. So as I say, urban environments and rural ones, which is really nice.
Depending on the game environment you're
setting on. And also, if they get enough funding through stretch goals, they're going to add, I think it's another 5 or 6 location types for you to play in, to try and explore and all that kind of stuff as well. They're going to be working on sheets for you to use for journeying and that kind of stuff too. So if you want basically like another character sheet on the table that will track all of that, they've been working on that too. As you can see, the artwork looks amazing as well. I think they've put together a really nice team to kind of bring this to life. And the thing that's really good about this is that I think it hits that kind of realm adventure agnostic feel where everything feels like it could fit into anybody's D&D campaign. And because of the way that they've set up the journeys and how that works through the flow of the tables and stuff, it means that, you know, if you're playing a campaign that is primarily set in the mountains with, you know, dwarves and giants and all that kind of thing, we'll just use that section of the book. If you're playing something that's set in woods or a city, use that section of the book. And then you can mix and match as and when you like it as well, which I think is really nice. Stuff like this, I think, is incredibly helpful for GMs, DMs, I suppose, especially if you're new to Dungeons and Dragons. I know one of the things that I struggle with when it comes to D&D is coming up with NPCs and things on the fly and reasons why things have popped up on their journeys and stuff. So having tables and charts and helpful tips and all that kind of stuff present in a book like this, I think is really cool. And it seems like definitely one of those things that it would be like you buy the 3 core books and then you get this as well, just to give you an additional sort of fun thing to play around with.
I would be looking at it for beyond that, to be brutally honest. I wouldn't limit myself to just Dungeons and Dragons.
Well, no, you could use it for everything.
Because if you're running a fantasy style game, if you're running Symborum, or if you're running whatever it happens to be, you're right. There's a lot of times where there's essentially downtime. The party is going from the tavern where they've got the quest to that old man in the north, and then your time is just spent mostly with filler, and it can be very dull, and your group knows what's going to go on. But actually throwing things like this in, so you might not have a straightforward journey from here to there, or, as is often the case, something goes completely sideways on you. And maybe that old man in the hut never gets visited because it takes your party on a completely different route and something else sort of happens. So you can sort of broad stroke your adventure in advance and then just let the gods decide where it's going to go. All you need is the map of wherever you're playing and then something like this book and then just go nuts. It's a relatively self-contained little Kickstarter as well.
It's very, very simple and easy. It's kind of, you know, you get the books, or you get the books and the digital version, or you can get multiple copies. You can also buy some additional add-ons and that kind of stuff as well. It's I think at this point at which we're filming, it's very near to its funding total, and it's got about 18 days left when you're looking at this as well. So
and it looks really well produced too. The artwork and the layouts and stuff.
Well, I mean, Cubicle 7 have been designing role-playing stuff for years and years and years and years and years at this point. And as I say, they have a great team that is very passionate about what they do. And I think if you're playing D&D, or, you know, you want to use this and refer the tables to something else, use the tables as reference for something else, you could easily play around with that and do what you want with it.
T&T.
Great stuff.
There's an aspect to this that I think we may have overlooked is on some of the random encounters in this, your party might actually meet an NPC that you can then weave on into your narrative as a main character. So there's a certain amount of randomness that can sort of allow your world and your adventure to grow a little more organically. Yeah,
and I love that idea. You know, just sort of going down the idea that, you know, chance meetings turn into something massive. It's very cool.
Also, if you're a lazy GM, like I say, just broad stroke it. You're in this. You're in this village. The man says, "Go north." Oh no, wolves in an old room haunted by trolls. Ooh, whatever could it be? But there are 18 days left, and it is a smidgen away. So I would say this will be funded.
A gnat's whisker.
Tight as a gnat's. It will be funded by the time you see this. That is my movie watch recommendation of the week. Moving on then, away from Kickstarter and into GameFound.
So we're moving over to the world of KeyForge. So KeyForge. That's a name that everyone's probably forgotten. So that was a game that came out from Fantasy Flight Games not too long ago, just before the pandemic, more or less. And unfortunately,
that one time we got to do Gen Con.
And unfortunately, the pandemic and the lack of an algorithm as it decided to become sentient and kill everybody. That's not really what happened, but the algorithm broke. But and so no more KeyForge decks could be built. However, Ghost Galaxy Games, which comes from the guy who originally built up Fantasy Flight Games, is basically taking control of the license for KeyForge and is bringing it back through the expansion that didn't happen, unfortunately, called Winds of Exchange. So it's coming back to the tabletop. For anyone who doesn't know what KeyForge is, it's a card game by Richard Garfield, if you hadn't guessed it was a card game by now, which is very, very simple and easy to play. Every deck is unique, and by unique, I mean quite literally unique. It's not just a gimmick. They come with their own powers, their own sets of cards and all that kind of stuff. The mechanics are very, very simple and easy to learn. You could learn to play in 5 minutes and away you go. I have seen people who have literally never played card games before turn up to tournaments of KeyForge and immediately start doing well in it and come in like mid-table, which I think is wild.
A question, Ben. Is there still one of my favorite aspects of this game in here, which is no deck building?
There is absolutely no deck building at all. You pick up the deck and that is the deck you use, which is very cool.
That is one of the best things about this game, because instead of it being someone who's went away and ran the meta through their brain to the point where they sit down at a table and know they're going to win exactly how the deck is going to play, this is how well can you learn it on the fly and leverage what you've been given.
Is my deck the same as your deck?
Nope.
No. Every deck is entirely different.
Unique.
Yeah.
Every single deck
is procedurally generated.
Oh, that's how you, because I was thinking, how do you know that they didn't just load their deck?
Exactly. Well, basically, when it's
every card
it's all
back
fresh
is the
decks.
Same. So, yeah.
So at your tournaments, you're not bringing your deck with you. There's a set of decks at the tournament. And I think, if I remember right, you're bidding chains. So, like, hurting how much you're drawing each turn to actually get the deck you want that you think you can use the best.
Mm-hmm. So every single one of the decks is made up of 3 houses that provide you with a combination of different cards to play. On your turn, yes, you can play you choose which house you want to play on each turn, and then you spend cards in order to play them down to the tabletop. The idea of the game is that you're collecting amber, or a amber, if you want to say it in a weird way, and use it to build your keys that you see on the side of the tabletop. There you go, building keys. And the first person to build 3 keys is the winner. It's a very, very good game. I have played it in the pub a lot because it's really good fun to just quickly play with, some nachos and a beer by the side of you. It's very awesome. With the Game Found itself, they are looking to, as I say, bring back the expansion that never properly came to market, which is Winds of Exchange, which brings a new house into the mix, which is called Equido, which is kind of like a house based around the idea of bartering and trading. There's also a new mechanic in the game called Token Minions. If you've ever played Magic the Gathering, it'll be no surprise that Garfield has thrown token minions into the game.
1/1 elves everywhere.
Yeah, exactly. So you play cards and they can represent a certain creature within your deck, basically using the backs of the cards in order to do that. There you go. There's a little infographic showing it all off. So yeah, 2 new styles. Well, a new house and a new style of play, a new type of creature to throw into the game. They are also working to get the algorithm properly back up to speed. It exists now, which is obviously good, but they are trying to use this campaign to not only kind of test the waters for KeyForge as a whole in terms of bringing it back fully online for everyone to dive into as a tournament game and all that kind of thing, but also to keep the algorithm going and all that kind of thing as well, because obviously quite an intensive thing and we probably don't want it to break again. So you'll be able to buy the new expansion, loads of additional card decks. You can get plushie toys because cool. There's also card backs and game mats is what I was trying to say.
Nice.
But I messed things up a bit there. Just loads of amazing stuff for KeyForge. I still have 6 decks sitting behind me on these shelves, and me and my friends still play it occasionally on a Monday. So yeah,
I've still got a few decks at home. This is one definitely worth looking at.
Really?
Although I do remember when they first launched the algorithm, there was a bit of a whoopsie.
Oh, yes.
Each deck had its own name on it, Lloyd, right?
Yeah.
Its own unique name. And the algorithm to begin with pumped out some names that were, shall we say, a little bit risque.
Let me just be simple and stupid here.
Yes, please do.
This algorithm you're talking about, is this a web-based version of the game, or what do you mean the algorithm?
There is a program hidden away in a vault somewhere that generates every single one of the unique decks for KeyForge. There is a program that they have created that does all of this.
Yeah,
so and the algorithm went wrong.
The algorithm broke and the code was lost, but they have now rebuilt the algorithm so that they can now generate decks again.
Yeah, so basically this algorithm, Lloyd, knows every card, every interaction, so it's actually building balanced and functioning decks every single time.
Mostly balanced.
So they've gone on $1 million man on this and rebuilt it better.
Yeah.
We can rebuild him. He can be better, faster, stronger.
More balanced.
More balanced.
And you didn't go this of Skynet. Skynet learns to iterate and how to defeat everybody.
Well,
started with the winds of
Skynet anymore.
Well, you see, I don't want Skynet to let it know that we're onto it, you see, so I try not to mention Skynet.
All right. Well, we shouldn't mention Skynet then.
Not when Google's got AIs that say, yeah, I could probably wipe out the whole population of the world in 2 days. You're like, I'm not going to say much.
Yeah, we are happy you are air gap.
Keep your head down. Well, there is 10 days left. It is massively funded for
absurdly funded.
Yeah. If you want to jump onto GameFound, you can dive right in. And if you played it before, obviously the starter decks and bundles and all sorts of things there. And if you're sitting with, just grab what you need for the new expansion. So that's handy. We have one more. Snuck a little one in.
Jerry snuck a sneaky one in.
Are we ever ending this show?
No, Jerry.
Could be. So, a while ago, a long time ago, we looked at this range of duck type people. Miniatures. And it was actually a Kickstarter to do Duck Quest. There's a variety of Hero Quest-like figures with a duckiness about them. So Darcy down in New Zealand has gone, wow, that is loud, and I'm deaf now. Darcy down in New Zealand has gone back. Obviously, people getting their hands on miniatures from New Zealand can be quite pricey. So what he's done is he's actually contacted Ill-Gotten Games, which we looked at as an Indie of the Week a couple of months, and they've got a setup where they can take 3D resolution-y things of sculpted miniatures and turn them into STL files. So this is not for the miniatures. This is a 3D digital STL type thing. So if you're looking for somebody like Sudan, the Hippo Warrior there, which you can download for free to test out, you can come here and get your hands on some beautiful D&D RuneQuest or Daemoner style miniatures with a very duck feel to them. So they're old school classic style sculpting by Darcy. In the main, they're one piece. I've got a big chunk of them because I backed that old Kickstarter. I found them the other day, actually. They're very nice. But you can jump in at sort of 3 different levels. So you can either pick up just the duck characters, which you've seen there. So Elving, Blaze, Quack, and Rune.
Duck Quest. Woo!
Very much so. With the champions of the minions of more ducks.
I'm a duck.
You see where this is going. Children of the Corn, who aren't ducks, but birds. So we'll let that go and go. Including Quoth the Raven, who sculpted out of the sort of Twilight from Mordheim.
Hello, Anya.
which just amused so much because that's sort of reappeared recently.
Classic fantasy elf character that has that exact pose.
Yeah, Anya sort of Twilight.
Twilight. Yeah.
Sorry.
The Turtle Warriors, which I had to look up because obviously Hendrix, Dimebag, and Kurt are all fairly self-explanatory, but Ying copied out. But it turned out he's a massive guitarist and huge, has been for decades. Really good.
Okay.
Never heard of him. Anyway, well done him.
Giant cave troll.
Yeah. Troll, because it's a duck troll. Troll.
I see.
I
love it
duck
so much.
me.
Ducking hell.
So yeah, it's a very quirk range from Darcy and Starhat anyway. There's he's got a unicorn head, as is the want. There's Jim the Enchanter blazing away. So if some old school classic style sculpting is your thing, but you're also into that new modern fangled 3D printing, then this is a way to get your hands on a foul bear and print it yourself at home.
That's quacking.
It really is. And even there's another Tunnels and Trolls reference. So Andre, the St. Andre Troll, which is a cracking rule set if you can get trolls. I think they made a new edition a couple of years ago. Anyway, I digress. Only you've got your sort of Duck Quest, your Dungeon Delver, and then there's the big one that has all of them, including the Dragon STL. So, you can get in there and fill your boots really easily. And there's a big full-on, here's a live commercial printing as well. If you're interested or fancy giving Starhat miniatures a run over. And like I say, there is massive Hippo Sudan that you can print for free. That you can print right now via the medium of this link. Give it a print out and see what you think. But I just think it's fascinating seeing somebody from a classic style of sculpting, finding a way to actually get them 3D printable rather than having to do it all in CAD. And based on that, the actual detail that they've captured off the sculpt is all there. Poor turtle back shield. Poor turtle. His only crime was being delicious in the soup.
And coming with its own handy dandy bowl.
Yeah, I just thought I'd throw this one in since I really like the rules because I've got them. And it's already funded. In fact, it's well funded. And there's a ton more unlocks, stretch goals to be tacked in as well. There are, I want to say, 6 days left on this. You look at it, and it means if you want to get them and if you want to help unlock a few, you can do so. And if you're not a 3D printer, you can always go and visit Star Hat and pick ducks themselves. There's a really nice Russell Crowe. I knew there was a Russell in there. It's a really nice Russell Crowe gladiator and also a Biggest Duckus, if you fancy the Python-esque bits. So those are all good in the hood. But I just thought a little bit of duck whimsy to round out our week.
Brilliant. Yeah.
We shall be returning on Sunday for some more ducking fun with our XLBS over on the Cult of Games on tabletop.com. And if you're not a cultist, you can join us for a 30-day free trial, which can't be bad for the price because it's free.
Also a special guest.
You little tease, you. Otherwise, we shall return next Friday night. Until then, folks, have a great week of gaming. We'll see you soon. Bye-bye.
Go ahead and check out our other content on screen now. And while you're at it, why not hit subscribe and remember to ding our dong. Go on, you know you want to click it. Go on.